From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
Hey, y'all. It's Caroline Gant.
Hey, y'all. Austin Lowen.
Hey, it's Tyler Blankenship.
Boom. Here.
Boom. We're here.
Doing it. Talking about plants.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
It is beyond too hot.
Physically do anything with plants, so we have to talk about it.
I hope wherever you're listening from, it's at least 5 to 10 degrees cooler than here.
Mm-hmm.
Did we hit 100?
Oh, the real feel for sure. I don't know if we've actually hit 100 today. But y'all, either way, it is rough.
It is.
Yeah, with humidity, it adds about 10 degrees of heat.
Mm-hmm. This week has been the first week where I've noticed at least just a little bit of droughty conditions in some areas, mainly in people's lawns and a lot of cornfields. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but here in Middle Tennessee, we don't have to irrigate our corn or our beans, whereas a lot of places do. For the most part, we have plenty of rainfall to where we don't have to do that here. But you can tell whenever the corn stresses because it goes this off color and it kind of just looks rough, you know, kind of like your lawn would. It just kind of looks not great. It looks fine in the mornings usually when it perks back up. But then by the end of the day, that corn is suffering, y'all. And you know I love corn.
I was about to say that must break your heart a little bit to be on your way home and see all that corn.
You don't suffer suffering corn.
No, he don't.
It's in full bloom right now, too.
Oh, are you loving it?
Oh, yeah.
What is it called? Tasseling.
Tasseling, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, like I said, this has been the first week I've kind of noticed that a little bit. Most of our big deciduous hardwood trees and, you know, shrubbery and such in the woods is all still fine and pretty lush, but yeah.
Yeah, not that. You know, I did find something while I was weed eating the other day. I think I texted you about it, but I'm not sure. So there's a spot that I weed eat like twice a year. And for the last 2 years, right as I pass the weed eater over, as soon as it's done, I notice this little purple flower flying through the air, and then I can't find it. So I think last week I was weed eating that spot, and I saw it, and I only chopped half of it down. And I sent a picture to Bridget, our perennial expert here at Bates Nursery, and she got really excited. I didn't know we had a native Ruellia here.
Really?
Yes, it's a wild petunia.
Wild Mexican petunia.
Well, I don't know if it's called Mexican petunia. Well, maybe all Ruellia is called Mexican petunia. I don't know. But it looks a lot like it. The flower is a lot lighter in color. It's still purple, and it's kind of translucent.
Oh, that's
had
very
no idea, but she was very excited when I sent it to her, and she sent me a picture back, and she was like, "Do you think this is what it is?" I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what it is."
Interesting.
And I've been mowing it down for like 7 years.
Just mowing down natives.
Just mowing down natives left and right. But now I know, and I went and got a bunch of those little marker flags and put it all around it.
Nice.
But I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a native either.
I had no idea.
Me 3.
No idea.
Oh, that's cute.
It's adorable.
Speaking of Bridget, grasses right now, y'all, are just lit up. I mean, just full bloom around
Oh, yeah.
town.
My switchgrass, especially my Northwind. My other switchgrass isn't quite up to par.
Well, that's because no other switchgrass is as good as
It's
Northwind.
so true. There's nothing that compares to Northwind switchgrass.
No, it's the best one on the market.
Although mine's flopping a little bit.
You know what?
But that's my fault.
Have I told you this before? This little fun fact about switchgrass. In more fertile soils, it flops more so than in less fertile soils.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting? I guess it makes
is
sense. I guess it's healthy, happy, big, fat, chunky blades. Maybe
But they
just want to
get
lay.
bigger and
They get
healthier
heavier, I
and-
guess, and they want to lay down a little bit more.
Well, mine is because we haven't cleaned our gutters and they're right under the gutter. So the water goes over, and we got a couple big rainstorms not too long ago, and they laid them out, so I had to tie them up.
Yeah. Tyler, what's going on in your garden?
Lots of weeds.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
And I know I talked about this last week, and I think a little bit on this week's show. It's just small battles you have to fight to really get any progress in the summer, because you're literally working against things that are just going to be growing no matter what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to work, the plants are growing, the weeds are growing, and when you come back, they're that much bigger.
Yeah.
And it's been really dry here, obviously. And like Austin said, it's getting drier, especially further south you go of Nashville. And you'll see that some plants are weakened by this, and you can pull some of them out, but some of them are so dried up that you're only going to get the top growth, and the roots are still going to stay in the ground. So if we get a rain, you might see that sudden spurt of growth from the weed that you thought you pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I wait until it's wet to pull most of mine. Or I'll water a little bit. Yeah, because I hate just ripping off the top. It
It's
makes me
horrible.
so mad.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on that, Tyler, like picking little battles. I picked a little battle the other day. I don't have a ton of weeds because I try to keep up on it, but I did have a spot out in front of my tree form hydrangea, and it was bad. It was mainly bad with crabgrass, like just all in there. Y'all know how it gets. We talked about this last week, how just chunky and how much it just wants to latch onto the earth. And I picked a little battle, and I took the little spot in front of it. This was after work. I was pouring sweat.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'm getting this crabgrass out of this area right here, and then I'm going back to the front porch and doing what I do. So
Doing my stuff.
Maybe
But-
give yourself a little treat after you do that.
I think he
did.
probably did. Yeah.
Because like there's nothing better. It's like boom, quick reward cycle right there.
Yeah.
And between like weed pulling and watering, that's a lot of little treats that you can have.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, it just depends on what scale, you're like 5 waterings and then I can have a little treat. I mean, I did a lot of watering too, especially it was on, I think it was Sunday evening with the advent of the crazy heat the past couple days. So watered my containers deeply. I tell you what, I set a timer, 15 minutes, and I just set my hose on the trickliest trickle I could get, and which was, fairly slow. You just like you said, sometimes you just watch for the spillover. If it's spilling over, then that's too much. And a lot of things perk back, my oak leaf hydrangea. That was one that definitely needed it.
Oh, it's definitely a wilty in the afternoon hydrangea scenario here. Like pretty much every day, especially if you try to grow the macrophyllus, which is the big, either blue or pink round blooming ones. You're trying to grow those in a little bit too much sun. You find that out real quick.
Oh, mine droop all the time. I've had to water those a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
They bounce right back.
Yeah, they perk. Even if you don't water them, a lot of times they perk in the morning.
Yeah.
Like they'll be fine after nighttime. But, ooh, yeah, by the end of the day, they ain't happy.
No.
So my oak leaves, this is year 3 now. They have finally started wilting. I didn't really have to do anything until this point. So, now that they're a couple seasons established, that's great news. That means that, the past couple years, I really did have to hit them a few times a year as things dried out like they did, the past few cycles. So, and I had to hit my butterfly bush, which is rare for me because usually that thing's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But you could see it wilting hard, and sometimes it just naturally wilts, like in the afternoon if it's just getting too much sun. And mine's also planted by my driveway, so
kind of a hot dry spot.
yeah. So
Hot
the
spot.
heat caused the leaves to wilt, but in the morning they kind of right themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I just call that sun wilting, and it happens with a lot of things. My bed, I live at the bottom kind of an area where a lot of water comes down, and my beds naturally stay a little bit more moist, and I've got, I guess, 3 different species of hydrangea in those beds, and I never really see any wilting on them hardly at all. I'm just lucky. But I will say right out in front of that, I have 2 perennial hibiscus, and every day when I get home, they are wilted up.
Really, you probably never water them.
No, I've never watered them.
Yeah, and they just perk right back up once
Yeah.
they're out of the heat and
Yeah,
sun.
definitely in the mornings, but it's just funny. Now that plant can live literally in water. I mean, it's totally fine with tons of water, but yeah, it for as much as a sun-loving plant as that thing is, it is wilty by the time I get home.
It's kind of cool though that it keeps wilting and you never have to water it.
Yeah.
It just perks right back up.
Yeah. Now, if you can handle
Interesting.
that, like it's kind of annoying to me, but it's in full bloom right now, and it's going through that annoying stage where it's dropping its blooms every single day,
Yeah, littering
and they're
your
just
beds.
yucked up blooms down below it that I've got to get rid of. So
Yeah,
that's kind of annoying. Plus, it's got so much sawfly damage. Y'all, it's ridiculous. They just ravaged that
It's like my
plant.
roses.
Oh yeah.
if you don't mind using your feet, that's a really fun way to pick up the spent blooms.
Tyler,
Like with your toes.
I can't
Yeah.
walk on the pea gravel with my feet.
It's
bare
also
feet.
good for your feet to do
I don't
stuff like
wear.
that.
I can't. I
I
wear
can't
these
imagine
shoes
you
until I
barefoot.
go to bed.
I was about to say, you probably sleep in your shoes.
Y'all know, I went to the beach and I was on the barefooted on the beach, and I was like, my feet were sore for like 4 days. I'm like, I'm not meant for this.
Austin's
I
a
need
never nude
shoes.
with feet.
Never. My kids are constantly out there with no shoes on it, even on the pea gravel. I'm just like, God, y'all are nuts.
Yeah.
It
I
hurts
don't wear
me to
shoes
look
much
at
of the
it.
time when I'm home.
I know. I can't.
And if you're not of that type of person, you can use those little handy grabber arms that you can find. And man, I use that in the garden. Actually, that's what I was doing when I was ripping up crabgrass, and I used one of those little grabby arms, and I was grabbing the crabgrass clumps, and because they're clumpy, it worked so good. And I had a 5-gallon bucket, and I was just, boom, bucket time. And it made things go faster, and you got to look for those little things to improve your efficiency, because if it's that hot, you have limited time before you are just whooped for a little while until you can get back out there. So,
well, yeah, and us working out here for 8 hours a day, like it drains you, man.
Yeah,
like it just, ooh. Well, y'all know if you work outside, you know how it is.
Yeah,
it'll get you.
It's not fun some days.
And I was pulling that crabgrass the other day out of the pea gravel. Which, look, I love my pea gravel because I never ever have to replace it. It's always there. It's not like mulch. But boy, I tell you what, weeding out of that is not fun on them fingers. That is,
Yeah, I have rocks around some of my house plants, my big ones, and I'll put them outside, and they've gotten grass in them, and I've had to weed them, and it sucks.
favorite
I'm not a fan of it. It's
favorite rock weeding investment tool is a stirrup hoe or a loop hoe. It just goes right underneath the rocks, and you can generally get most of the plant, unless the rocks are like embedded in your dirt under there. But even then, it'll still, take care of it. I've done a lot around pea gravel with that method, and that's helped a lot.
Yeah. There's all sorts of little tools to help out. I still just use my hands.
Me too. Just getting down there, using my hands.
The thing
my hands are going broke.
Yeah, I know. Mine are getting there. Things that's going out on me worse is my knees. I can't be down near as long as I used to.
Really?
Weeding, yeah.
You're becoming an old timer.
Yeah.
You know what you got to do? You got to get yourself an engine hoist with some dirt tires on it, like some inflatable dirt tires, and then you can get a climbing harness. And then you're just going to Superman those weeds.
There you go.
Oh, Tyler.
Just suspend yourself.
You and your
gadgets.
gadgets.
Your thoughts.
And your children can just wheel you around.
Yeah.
That would be pretty amazing.
Big Daddy
to see.
fly.
I think you should make it happen.
We'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
We should probably fly into this, huh?
Let's fly on into it. We were all here, right?
We were.
Yeah.
It was a live show.
Yeah, cast
lively.
was back together.
The
I was
cast
loud.
was back.
I was probably too loud.
Well, you had been gone, so you were excited to be
excited.
back.
You're right.
There's no such thing as being too loud.
Is it a Gardening Inside Out broadcast if Austin isn't like at that level at some point?
Right.
Just drama level 12.
Either you guys drum him up or he drums himself up. Stoked on blooms.
That's true.
I can't even remember what we talked about, so it'll be exciting.
Yeah. I thought it was a good one.
It was a great one. So, like always, you'll hear us with Josh Carey and David Bates. A lot of questions this morning, so let's dive in.
All right.
How long can you keep a fruit tree in a pot before it reaches its forever home?
Well, I mean, if you keep
As long as you're willing to water.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Tyler just nailed it. I mean, anything in a pot, you're gonna have to water more than in the ground. So I don't know why you want to keep it in the pot unless you just are lazy like me and don't plant stuff.
Well, it could be that
Maybe
you've
they
got
like
a
how
project going on around
True.
your house and you've got equipment and you don't want it to get run over by a skid steer loader or whatever. So that's a good enough reason to not plant it, in a area that's got a lot of traffic going on. But you're right about the perils associated with it is that it will require daily watering this time of year. I mean, not just and the word watering is the most misunderstood concept in our world. Don't you agree, guys? As far as any application of water at any amount or volume is not necessarily watering. You may have applied some water, but most of the things really require a thorough drenching. All of your outdoor plants, you need to spend enough time, even if you have to go back over multiple times to ensure it, particularly before they're in the ground. We irrigate twice a day this time of year. During these high temperature times, the plants dry out fast. We irrigate in the morning, and then we irrigate at the end of the day.
Yep.
And that's what we have to do in order to keep things going well.
Yep.
Yeah, just because you water doesn't mean you water properly.
Don't
we
lay
got
on
a
us.
fly that is going
Oh,
to
get it,
go
Josh, while I read this
away.
question. I have a
Use your
small
flip-flop.
front yard, and I want a tree that will be good for birds and only get 25 to 30 feet tall.
Tyler.
Oh, man. Y'all
Just
can't
keep
see
going,
what's
keep
happening
going.
off camera.
Okay.
Tyler just hit some lights. All right, one more time. I have a small front yard, and I want a tree that will be good for birds and only get 25 to 30 feet tall.
So
Okay.
now what trees are not good for birds?
I know, I was
My
thinking that
question.
too. It's like once a tree gets 25, 30 foot tall, like it's got a lot of space for birds, and there's probably going to be birds in it. Okay, a couple natives that we have, dogwoods, redbuds. Okay, if we only sold dogwoods and redbuds, we'd still be killing it. That's what people know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all the time, people coming out for dogwoods and
Well, they're
redbuds.
natives for one thing, and
Yeah.
that's a big deal. People,
is.
I think, are rightly so increasing their focus on native plants, things that are naturally pest resistant, that are easier to grow. You may not have quite the span of color and other attributes, but they are reliable, and the native flora and fauna are very comfortable with them, and it's known. So they all work really well.
And a redbud in the springtime, there's nothing.
Oh, yeah,
pretty about it.
dogwoods and
Come on.
redbuds in the
Yeah.
springtime. They both bloom without leaves on them. That's the showiest you can get.
Redbud flowers are actually very tasty. If
Really?
you strip
They
them
are.
all,
They're so good.
They have a peanutty taste to them.
Have you not eaten one before?
I've never eaten a redbud flower. No.
Well, next
really
spring, I predict that will change.
Okay, I'll do it. I will do
try
it for
'em.
y'all. But if you want a little bit different option, there is some other plants. Styrax is a cool plant. You don't even think about it. No one even knows it. Google it right now. It's a cool plant. It doesn't get all that big. It's a cool plant for that scenario. And then also,
Amelanchiers?
hey, shout out to Adam Chapman, who's on vacation today.
Ooh,
Good for you,
vacay.
sir. 2 weeks. He is not here.
Oh, we're going to miss him.
Yeah, without him here.
And Ray-
I've already missed him this morning.
He does a lot here.
He does a lot.
But yeah, he loves his service berry, so that would be a cool choice.
that
Definitely
is
for the
good for
birds. and
birds.
Definitely good for the birds. And hey, one more Carolina silver bell. Check it
Halesia
out.
is
Halesia,
really-
cool plant. It doesn't get all that big, so we sell all of those here. There's options.
There are. How about advice on caring for a Yoshino cherry?
Well,
Plant
okay.
it.
Yeah, I mean, plant it, watch it. It's, Yoshino cherries here, y'all, are typically the first ones to kind of shut down in the fall. They don't necessarily have like really good fall color. They kind of go yellow quick and then they drop quick. It's just one of those plants that's like that. Now, you talk about showy plants, though? Oh, my God. Yoshino cherry is about as showy as it gets in the spring. Like, it's fantastic to grow. You've got one. You planted it.
I planted one on Monday. I planted a bunch of trees on Monday during the hottest time of the year.
Yeah, you planted a tree in the summer.
Well,
Great.
that was in a 3-gallon pot that I bought over a year ago. Very root bound. I was
Speaking
having
of
to water
watering
it
on top of the
yes,
ground.
almost
Goodness.
every day. So I was like, it's going to do better in the ground. I planted that, a deodar cedar, and
You think?
a viburnum.
We added one to the proving grounds this spring. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
of
now,
course-
on the downside of cherries, and you touched on one of the aspects, is it's not unusual by early mid-August. It has no leaves left on it at
That's
all.
true.
It will drop everything quickly.
listen
The
to that, Diana, because so when it drops, it's not dead.
It's not dead, yeah. No.
Yes, Diana.
The
Yes.
other negative aspect is the fact that they are not on a long life scale, a long living tree. 20, 25 years is probably about as much as you can reasonably expect. They might get more, but there's a lot of things that are a
didn't know
nuisance
that.
pest to them. They don't, they
Yeah,
don't
there's
just-
a number of things that can happen to Yoshino cherry, especially if they get wounded. If you're like weed eating around the base and you
don't
create
talk about
wounds.
them.
Yeah.
They get
No,
wounded.
man.
They do, I tell you.
so
We're,
sensitive.
we're just trying to be
sensitive.
careful right
so
now.
sensitive.
They will ooze some sap and then you start to see stuff. Ugh.
Ooh,
But,
sounds spooky.
hey, but still, Yoshino cherry is as showy as it gets. Like,
I'm
a
excited.
beautiful, beautiful plant.
It's never a bad time of year to add Earth Mix to your garden. Earth Mix garden products are sustainably sourced, living soils and amendments crafted to give you the best success for your gardening efforts. Establishing a raised bed? Use Garden Premium Topsoil Blend for an excellent performing growing medium for flowers and vegetables. Amend your gardens with their supernatural compost, with all the nutrients needed to recharge existing soils. For houseplants, their Proganics Indoor Grow Mix is a fantastic potting medium that will feed for up to 6 months. without the need for additional fertilizer. Earthmix is sold only at independent garden centers, so head over to earthmix.net/find Earthmix to locate one near you. Success begins at the ground level when you use Earthmix garden products.
Another question real quick.
You want a question?
Yeah, let's do a question real quick. I'm not ready. I'm gearing up. I gotta get geared up. Get me geared up.
All right, let's get you geared up. Let's get a question in. Skinny Fiddle. She's tall and a flimsy lady. Help. So that usually happens if your fiddly fig is happy and growing fast. I mean, they will get a little bit flimsy, and the stem sometimes is like this big, like the size of a pencil or a larger pencil. And in order to make that trunk bigger, for one, pruning that fiddly fig is going to help. So I have one that I've cut back every year. I give it like a chop, whether it's just chopping the stem in half or cutting those main branches. I remove all the leaves, and the stem has gotten a lot bigger. Now, I have researched this. I've read on it. I haven't tried it, but with fiddly figs, I always see videos about people simulating wind to make the trunk stronger.
I've seen this.
And there was that TikTok trend years ago where people shaking their plants. I was going to see what you guys thought of it because I'm not going to try shaking my plant.
Now, the one thing
well, you dated Skinny Fiddle back in high school. Right?
Yeah, right. Okay. No matter what kind of plant you're talking about, with the stems are getting flimsy and stretched, it's indicative of what, Austin?
Typically light.
Yes, or the lack thereof.
The lack thereof, yeah.
You either have too much temperature, or more specifically, too little light. And I don't see that there's another cure that's a really good cure, except to cut it back, particularly if you fiddly fig. You know, if you look at where they grow in nature, they grow in the tropics, and they grow in full sun. They like sun. That's the biggest problem people have with them. They're a wonderful plant, but a lot of people don't have them growing in enough light. Now, flimsy stems is indicative of the fact that it's not enough light. If you've got a way to cut it back, cut every leaf off of it and then go straight out to the sun with it, it'll push new growth, and that new growth will be tough and hardened against the sunlight. And then you'll be able to, by the fall of the year, get migrated inside. Now, is that way offline with what you'd recommend, Caroline? Or?
No, that's what I said. Cut it back. Give it as much sun as you can. If you think about it, those big fiddly figs that we sell here that are huge, those are like large cuttings that these growers have taken, and that's why the stems are so big. So when you buy a small one that you have for a long time and you grow it up yourself, it's going to take a really, really long time for that trunk to get huge. Especially like David mentioned, in your house, you probably can't give it enough sunlight for it to really grow, but just give it time. It takes time for everybody to grow and get bigger.
And where they are grown in South Florida or wherever, they're grown in full sun for a substantial portion of time, and then they will finish them or make them acclimatize them to a bit lower light conditions under maybe 30% shade. It won't really be more than that. That means they'll and they can adjust to that very easily. But when you move inside the house, it goes from being 30% reduction in light to probably almost 80 to 90%
easily.
So got to have sun. They are not a shade plant.
They grow those in Dade County.
No, they're not. No ficus is a shade plant.
Nope.
They grow them in Dade County, don't they? Down there at the down in Homestead. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's a trendy house plant. People love it, but they also love stuff that's all around town.
And I've got if I want to see Austin in action, his 100,000 plus view video on replanting.
How many is it now? I know you look at it every day.
Probably about 105.
105.
Quit making fun of me. All right.
You got to check it and see.
I do.
But let's check and see what you know.
If Austin needs to boost his self-worth a little bit, he just goes in there and look at the account. They go, hey.
We're all good here today.
Yeah.
All right.
Fiddly fig.
But I want to know something.
What do you want to know, Josh?
What's in bloom?
Here it is.
Bloom with Austin.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff in bloom, people. I wrote this list last night. Let's start with the perennials. Why not? It's been a daylily year. I don't know what's up with daylilies, but they are still blooming. I've never seen them bloom this long. It's awesome. Love some daylilies. There's a lot of cool varieties out there. Alliums, my ornamental onions, still going strong. Looking great. Upright phlox, I noticed. My daughter picked a flower for me the other day. It was an upright phlox growing in the woods. Don't know how I got there, but it's there. Looking good. Echinacea, black-eyed Susan. Both of those Always. Russian sage, I noticed. Y'all, that's like a shrubby perennial, soft blue. It's very Mediterranean. That's what I give it.
Those jazz hands are back, y'all.
Yes.
So what's
Russian
all the
sage.
hurry about Russians?
I don't know why they're rushing. It hasn't rushed yet. I mean, until now, and now it's finally rushing into bloom. It's great. You know what? It's great. Soft foliage. I like that. They smell good. I like the way they smell. Yeah. Okay. Roses perpetually still going, y'all. Everyone's still got some roses out there. Y'all know what? Something weird. I got a big Chinese snowball bush.
Ooh.
It's big blobby bush of green.
Blobby.
Yeah.
That's a technical term.
That is.
No.
One of them
Bloom.
blobby bushes.
There's one big bloom.
Really?
Right in the middle of it. Why?
Is
You
that
have
a
a picture?
viburnum?
Yes, it's a viburnum. Tyler?
What's that doing?
What's it doing? I don't know. That does weird stuff. It also reblooms in the fall sometimes. I love that plant. Chinese viburnum.
It's a good one.
It's a beautiful white bloomer. Y'all know I love that white. Okay.
do.
Speaking of white, hydrangea, the panicles, limelight, little lime, bobo, all those ones that you think of, they're just showing off and just really showing it. Even limelight right now is like only half show. It's still got a long time to go, y'all. If you're not growing panicles, you're doing something wrong. Okay. Hibiscus, the perennial stuff. Big as your face blooms. Mine are red, looking great.
Are the Japanese beetles getting them yet?
No, they're no. They don't come to my house. I've kicked them
Not
out.
this year.
You said no.
That's right. And shout out Reese. I hope your butterfly bush is blooming. It should be. I bought it for you last year. It should just always bloom because I bought it. Okay, moving on. Vitex. Hey, Vitex, y'all. Yours is blooming. I know
Mine
you
is
told me
full
yesterday.
bloom.
Rosa Sharon, a different type of hibiscus, y'all, just still showing off this year, looking just great. Crepe myrtles all around town, looking great. Mine's finally blooming. It took like a while for mine to bloom, but it's doing it. It's doing its thing. Golden rain tree, once again, yellow trees, love them. Yep. Y'all, yellow trees. Magnolia still spitting some, just barely though. They're almost done. Hey, Tyler, we're talking about vines. That means you got to do something. Hurry up. Trumpet creeper. While we're talking about it, it's orange. Y'all know me. I don't really like orange all that much. But Tyler, if you can get it up there, I want to do a little something. Hey, there it is. Y'all can't see it yet. Tyler, get it up. Come on, man. All right. Hey, look. Hey, Caroline, look. Hey, look. There's clematis.
Clematis.
What's it doing? It's blooming again.
It is blooming again, but you zoomed in on it,
What do
so
you
we
mean I
can't see
zoomed
the
in
whole
on it?
plant.
You don't need to see the whole plant.
Because
The whole
there's
plant's
probably yellow
fantastic.
leaves.
There's no yellow leaves, and there's no insect damage. There's no pest pressure. None of it. All of it. It's all great. It's clematis, and it's blooming. So you're welcome. Thanks, Tyler. Grasses. Shout out Bridge. Love you again. Yep. All the grasses going great. Okay, let's give a shout out to our natives, okay? How about the passion flower? How about our state wildflower, y'all? The coolest bloom on the planet.
Speaking of passion.
Oh, buddy, I'm giving it.
Right
Austin's
here,
middle
right
name.
here.
The old maypop. My daughter brought me some maypop last night, and I was like, this is a passion flower.
How about this native?
Oh, yuck.
Oh.
Why did you fade into it?
Fade into
'Cause I
it
snuck
again.
it up on you.
Fade
I talked
into it
about
again.
that one.
I said last
Get it
week I
outta
was
here.
going to bring mine, and
Man.
that's what
That
my
is
Rudbeckia
gorgeous.
Black-Eyed
That-
Susan looks like. There's another photo.
Goodness, that's a stand.
Yeah, I told you it's amazing.
Oh, is it?
That's at your house?
Yeah, that's my garden. Or one of the 25 garden beds I have.
Till you got to weed all that.
I don't
Yucky.
weed it because it's so thick. Oh, you missed us talking about this last week.
That's right.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wasn't here.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you
I
missed
didn't need
out.
it. Okay.
All right, continue.
More natives. The ironweed. I saw my very first ironweed. Beautiful purple, like true purple on a tall weed. Ironweed, y'all, looking good.
Happening.
Butterfly weed, the milkweed. Caroline brought some into the studio today
Yep.
for our monarch butterflies. Those are still blooming. They like never stop blooming. It seems like I don't know what's up with that. And then I thought about it last night. The clover in my lawn. Why does clover always just bloom? Is it because we cut it and then it comes back and then it blooms again? Like white clover never stops blooming.
You're just sitting on your porch thinking about that.
I was.
Stop blooming.
Okay. Hey, moonflower, Datura.
Mine's blooming.
It's
Yep.
blooming, yeah.
Fun
If you,
poisonous flower.
It's poisonous, yeah. If you do it right, you might go on a fun ride. If you do
Don't.
it wrong, you did.
Oh, no.
Nope.
Don't do that.
Just don't do it.
Don't.
Also, if you plant it, it's going to spread everywhere by seed. They have these little seed pods that attach themselves to critters or you and go everywhere.
It's no joke. No joke. And then some of the bad ones, let's talk about it. Morning Glory, y'all. Morning Glory. Some of y'all like it. It's okay. I got one
No.
climbing up my Japanese maple. It's made it to the top.
Ouch.
And it was blooming this morning. And I'm like, yuck. I got to cut you out. And then the tree of heaven. Do y'all know about the tree of heaven?
Yeah.
It ain't no joke. It looks a lot like sumac. It's blooming right now, and that is a non-native invasive.
Not so heavenly.
No, I don't know why they call it tree of heaven. I had no clue because it's not heavenly at all. It's awful, really bad, but it is blooming. And then last on my list that I noticed yesterday, chrysanthemums. Mum's the word. Mums are blooming. Mummy.
Mine's not quite blooming yet.
Well, it's about to. Okay? I saw one yesterday. It was yellow. It was blooming. And you know what? That's what's in bloom.
So we're going to move into our hydrangea portion. And last week we did miss Austin. We had quite a few hydrangea questions. This week we have even more.
Do we need to do a segment? We missed Austin last week.
We missed Austin.
Well.
But Ben was here, and we were really happy to have him.
Ben did a fantastic job standing in. All right, I just planted hydrangeas. I have one branch that crinkled up and slowly died. Is this normal?
No. Not typically normal, no. What I'm assuming happened, since it's just one limb, is you probably suffered a break somewhere, like down close to the base. Yeah. And even if it's just a little break, y'all, this time of year with hydrangea, with the water, you got to do. Y'all know, if you're planting hydrangea this time of year, you're watering like crazy.
The one thing about hydrangeas is their vascular system really cannot. It's one of those genetic things that, for whatever reason, particularly in macrophylla, where you got these big-leaved hydrangeas, they cannot keep up when it's really hot weather. They wilt even when they're not dry in the ground. So that's because they transpire the water out of the foliage faster than the vascular system can pump it up. So it takes almost no damage at all. You just crack it.
Yeah.
And
look at it hard.
Well, it's possible.
Almost.
So
yeah, like whenever we plant stuff, especially hydrangeas, like David said, like their stems can break somewhat easily, even if it's just a tiny little break.
You're brushing by it in the garden.
They can break. Yeah, it happens to us all the time, y'all. We're unloading plants like crazy, and every once in a while,
you hear a snap.
You hear a snap. You're like, oh man, what we say? No checking. No check this week when you break a stem.
No check for you.
So that's what I'm assuming happened. If it is wilting and it's already just perished, I mean, it's done. Just remove it, and then play with the rest of the sticks you got, and keep it wet. Y'all, hydrangea season, keep it wet. You can't overdo it.
All right, a lot of questions about droopy hydrangeas.
Of course.
First up, my hydrangeas are brown and droopy. How can I help them through this heat?
It's water, y'all. It's water, and it's water where you need it. That's the key. Watering, like David said earlier, water, just because you water doesn't mean you did it right, okay? I had a guest yesterday that had the same thing. I crinkled up, just totally brown, crispy hydrangea, and he was like, man, I've been watering, and I'm like, that's fine. You've been watering, but you're not getting water to the root zone.
You're watering the top.
Needs it. Yeah.
People kill more plants this time of year saying, I watered it every day, and yet it clearly is dry. So there's conflicting information there, and perception is just wrong. Watering this time of year in particular needs to be approached from a meditative opportunity. If you're going to be out there with a garden hose and you're going to apply it directly to the plant, use it as an opportunity to just kind of zone out and move from one plant, soak it till the water just starts to run off, and go to the next, then continue that process, and then go back and do it all again, and then go back and do it all again. And that's what it takes. So don't look at it as, if you are in a hurry, you cannot water. It is not possible. Put a sprinkler on there and a timer and walk away from it if you're in a hurry. But if you can do it by hand, you got to take time. Chill out. Use that opportunity.
Go smooth.
Yeah. I've been watering those 3 big things that I planted on Monday, just like that. It's a time to meditate while you water. All right, my lime Ricky hydrangea is growing tipped over. Help. It's been 2 years growing in ground.
Okay, lime Ricky is an arborescence type of hydrangea, so similar to like an Annabelle or an Incredible. And with all of the smooth hydrangeas, yes, they all.
Yeah, Tyler.
Yeah. A lot of times will flop, okay? And that sounds what's happening to you. Now, Proven Winners came out with that plant, and they claim that is one that does not flop all that bad. So, what you probably need to do is what David does, and probably give it just a clear. Now, this is not now, but clear cut over the winter time. Yeah, mid-February. Just cut it to the dirt, y'all. Let's play for new stems. Let's get those stems chunky, and hopefully next season it's not going to flop.
It's such a different, man. I've got Annabelles in my side yard that are, now they're in the persistent stage of the flower now. They've already gone through their primary bloom, but they still look wonderful. They're standing up and not flopped at all. And so long as we're willing, last year I had some issues because we didn't cut them quite hard enough. And so if you'll go back, like Austin said, I mean, almost to the ground.
Yeah.
Force all new stems to come out, particularly if they're in the right light conditions, and they are sun lovers. You'll have nice, strong stems that are going to stand up good. And because you have increased the bloom count by multiple stems, you've reduced the size of those blooms so that they are much less likely to get loaded down with water and break down to the ground. That's what happens if you just have a few stems and these really big blooms. There is a penalty you pay for those really big flowers.
That's true. Yep.
They get heavy. And our final hydrangea question of the morning. My Bobo hydrangeas haven't bloomed this year yet. They were planted last year and bloomed then. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of weird. Very weird, actually. The Bobo should be blooming now, at least budded. I don't know if you're seeing any buds in there. Like, get in there and look. Make sure, and if it's in deep shade, they may not bloom. That is a full sun hydrangea, y'all. Like, the fullest of full sun hydrangeas. So if you're not... if it's
and any amount of shade you
bloom.
get will push that flowering time later and later. So it may be that they don't flower until August, which
would be
like
cool.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but you got to give plants the conditions that they need to be optimal in order to get the results you expect them to give. So it sounds like likely too many hours of shade. It probably gets some direct sun, but maybe it's only 4 or 5 hours. And they would love to have 9.
Some say there ain't no cure for the summertime blues. But we say Bates Nursery is. Located in Nashville, Tennessee, Bates Nursery and Garden Center is a separate world unto itself. They feature the widest variety of plants, including trees, shrubs, native plants, perennials, houseplants, and specimen evergreens. Their knowledgeable staff will assist you with any gardening needs, catering to any experience level. Open year-round, and Caroline, tell them how to get here.
Bates Nursery is located minutes from downtown Nashville off Briley Parkway, exit 19 in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee. You'll see it's worth the drive from anywhere. No time to visit the nursery? Shop online with delivery and pickup options available for the greater Middle Tennessee area at www.batesnursery.com.
So if you want to learn a lot about living and a little about love, visit Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932.
But y'all, we got a lot of live questions in, so let's get to it.
Okay.
What I need is to get rid of moles. They are destroying plants and flowers. What is your best tip?
Moles are so annoying.
That's
the first thing. I mean, we do sell like bait, like there is poison to kill moles.
And it does work.
It does work. But you're going to kill your moles. I mean, I don't know if you want to kill them or not, but that's what it does. So just know that.
You don't think they're not screaming bloody murder when they eat that poison.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we sell repellents. They're underground, though, so the repellents are really hard to get to moles. Like, moles are just a really hard thing. So, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to use,
Hey, Miriam says borrow a Jack Russell Terrier for a week.
There you go. Thanks, Miriam.
Now your yard,
a Skipper Key dog is the cure.
Your yard will look like landmines.
Get rid of the moles, though.
And your dog will have dirt up to here because they will bury
all
down
the way in. But they'll get it. And then Risha says the butterfly bush Austin bought us this year has been beautiful.
Reach.
Yes.
Great.
And then another
just
me
$28.
And it was totally worth it for all the things we've gotten to talk about out of it. And then another viewer says, David, there are nurseries closer to me, but I prefer to drive to Bates because your lot, even before paving, is better than others.
Yep.
Hey, what about this? We have 2 variegated English hollies a year ago. I guess they planted them. One is full and healthy. The other shrub leaves are more sparse than it was a few months ago. Would nitrogen help?
Well, I mean, nitrogen is the most, the element that's used most by plants, so it's not going to hurt to put nitrogen on it. That'll throw leaves. That's nitrogen promotes green growth. So, yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt. I mean, maybe mid-February time, let's give them both the same shear, even though they look different, I know. But if we give them the same shear and cut them the same way, you'll probably get a similar flush next spring. So that would be my tip for you when it comes to that, to get them back full.
Yeah, there's really no other way to do it.
No, I don't think so.
You have to kind of do sacrificial trimming on one in order to have a chance of them getting close to being the same later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did get a nice comment. Okay, I should be in the garden before it heats up, but here I am in my favorite coffee spot watching you guys. Y'all are my favorite.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And we got a clematis question, so Austin, get ready.
I'm so ready.
Are you?
It's clematis.
Are you ready?
Clematis.
Do the round, hairy-looking things on clematis need to be cut off? I assume they are seed heads.
Yes, they will be seed heads, and I think they're cool. I leave mine on, and there's like a million of them. They do look like aliens. Like, they're just odd. And what was described in the question is like kind of what you think. What did they say? Like round,
hairy
things. Yeah, like that's what they look like. Mine has a million on it right now because it blooms so much, because that's what they do. Yeah. And then they rebloom.
How do your leaves look?
The leaves look great.
Well, you didn't get a picture of the whole plant, so...
Okay, next week you're getting it, and it looks fine. Okay, so yes, you can cut those off if you don't like them, but there's no reason to cut them off. It's not like it's needed for the plant. So, like I said, I like to look at them. I think they're kind of cool, but that's just me. Huh. If you want to cut them off, cut them. If you don't.
Just a lot of extra things to be doing.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It is no. Now, what it will do, if you cut them all off, it would redirect energy that's going towards seed production into the plant itself. So you might get more blooms out of it. You're certainly going to get more vegetative growth. Mm-hmm. That's not in question. But
yeah. No, I think you're right, actually. That's a good point. It probably would throw more blooms again. Like mine's reblooming, y'all, but it's not like great. There's like 2 or 3 blooms on it, okay? But still, it's reblooming.
Now you're being honest about it.
It's reblooming. I've been honest. I haven't lied to anyone.
I did plant one a couple weeks ago.
Okay, Austin,
and I'm excited about it.
You've made your point.
Somebody said the C word and got them all fired up.
Got them all fired up. Hey, Jane Ann Gibbs says, Centennial, that means 100. What sales will there be during that anniversary?
That's a
100% off, obviously.
They already had 100% off.
I'm not sure that will occur.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Oh.
Got to get there first.
We're going to strategize in the marketing department.
Off. 100 pennies off.
100 pennies. That's going to be the sale. You've got some time to think about it.
By the time we get the time we get to there, 100 pennies won't be worth, the copper. I mean, they're already not worth the copper. The copper's worth way more than the copper.
To figure
like
something
paint
out
on them anyway.
Hey, and then Joyce Hook says, Turtlehead just starting to bloom. Will be good into September. And you know what? I wrote that on Austin's sheet, and then he looked at me with disgust.
No, I didn't. You wrote it on the other sheet.
Drama.
Okay, I didn't write it on his sheet. I wrote it on my sheet.
I'm sorry.
What is
I forgot about it.
It's a cool little shade flower. It's got this little pink bloom that comes up that it doesn't really open. It just like peeks up like a little turtle head. Mm-hmm. I've got some. Mine's not in full bloom yet, but mine, just like Joyce, is starting to go.
Yeah, it's a shade-loving perennial.
What are the leaves like?
It not that exciting. It looks green. They're
Cool.
green.
Yeah.
They look kind of like
does it have a look about
mountain mint in a way, like the upright mountain mint. I really like mine. It's a flowering shade perennial. You can't really go wrong with it. It's pretty easy.
Hey guys, we got 2 minutes to go. We need to
mean wetos.
What? 2 minutes? All right. Boxwoods have patches after last winter. Will they ever recover?
No, I mean,
close to home, right here.
It is close to home, and you got to cut those out.
Come down off that mountain now.
Yeah.
Bringing them on.
I know you're going to make some holes if you cut your boxwoods, but those little patches of brown and like almost whitish looking, yellowish kind of like they're not getting better, y'all. You got to cut them like. Cut it out. You're going to have a hole this season. And then next spring, if you get a nice flush, it should flush past those holes. So that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
And that's a really great opportunity to shear them pretty hard and tight. Let them flush on out. Then they'll pretty much overcome it.
Now, Darren wants to know he has a pine tree. The bottom third branches are dead. The top is 2/3 green on it. A ton of shade at the bottom 1/3 is the reason. Is it dead branches?
Take them off.
Take
them off.
Take them off, Darren.
Cut those off. Yep. You don't need them. 2/3 look great.
The tree is telling you it doesn't want them.
Nope, doesn't need them.
Oh, he sent David a video to his phone, so he knows people around here. All right, folks. Hey, the music means that this edition of Gardening Inside Out has come to a close, but next Saturday we're going to come back.
Absolutely.
There's going to be striped pavement here at Babe Nursery.
We're going to have
Garden
plants
Center.
that have moved,
Yes,
stripes
we are.
on, new pavement. It's all good. We keep it rolling here.
If it's growing, 20% off. 20% off. Come on
That's
out,
true.
folks.
Through the
It's an
18th.
amazing sale. Everything's included
All
if it's
right.
alive. Hey, for everybody here at Gardening Inside Out, thank you for participating and share it. Let everybody know about us. We'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studio.
The fade.
Thank you for tuning into the Gardening Inside Out podcast. If you're looking for more information or more from your hosts, don't forget that we have a live Saturday morning broadcast, 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on our Instagram channel. That's @Gardening Inside Out for more posts, reels, and in-depth dives to topics and things we've discussed on the show. If our content resonates with you, consider giving us a follow, like, and subscription on all of our social media pages. See you next time.